Welcome to the video AWS Elastic Beanstalk deploy Java web application on Tomcat with MySQL database. I am Nam Hà Minh at codejava.net. Throughout this video, I'd like to share with you how to deploy a Java web application with MySQL database running on Apache Tomcat server using Elastic Beanstalk Web Console with the following steps. Update project code to externalize data source properties, package and test the sample application on localhost. Create new application using Elastic Beanstalk Web Console. Configure service access. Configure database service. Deploy the application. Add environment properties for data source connection. Connect to remote MySQL server instance and test the newly deployed application. Note that using Elastic Beanstalk is free, but you will have to pay AWS resources used by your applications such as EC2, S3, RDB. If you are new to AWS and Elastic Beanstalk, you need to have an AWS account, which is the root or master user, and an IAM user that has administrative access. And to deploy a Java web application on a Tomcat server, you need to have a deployable Word file of your Java web application. Note that you must have a valid credit or debit card to sign up for an AWS account, and it will be just about $1 or $2 USD for verification, but you'll get your money back later. To create a new AWS account, I recommend you follow this video how to create AWS account on my YouTube channel at this URL. Follow this video to know how to sign up for an AWS account. And to create IAM users, I recommend you follow this video how to create AWS IAM users on my YouTube channel at this URL. So follow this video to know the steps to create IAM users on AWS. And this is a sample Java web application which will be deployed on AWS using Elastic Beanstalk Web Management Console. You see, this is a very simple Java web application that allows users to manage a list of books, such as adding new books, editing, updating books, list of books, and deleting books. And this Java application uses JDBC with MySQL database. And I think it's worth reviewing some Elastic Beanstalk key concepts. You know, Elastic Beanstalk is the service for deploying and scaling web applications and services on AWS Cloud. Developers can quickly launch applications on AWS Cloud without the complexity of provisioning and managing underlying infrastructure. An application is a logical collection of environments, versions, and environment configurations. Version is a specific labeled iteration of deployable code for an application. Environment is a collection of resources running an application version. Environment configuration is the collection of parameters and settings that define how an environment and its associated resources behave. And an application can have many versions, and each version is unique, and each environment runs only one application version at a time. And you can run the same app version or different app versions in many environments simultaneously. Let's download the sample Java web application. So click this link to download a sample Java web application that uses MySQL database with JDBC. Go to the end of this tutorial and you will see a download link. Here, bookstore.zip. It is a zip archive file. and store the file in a directory Java projects save. Okay, the file has been downloaded. You can see it's a zip archive file here. Okay, and then I extract this zip archive file using a terminal. So I open a new terminal window here and go to that directory downloads. You can see the zip archive file here. Sorry, it should be in my user home directory and Java projects. Okay, you see it is here, bookstore.zip, and use this command to extract this archive file, -xf, and then the zip archive file name. And you see a new directory extracted here, bookstore, and you can list the content of that directory. You can see here. And then let me open this Java web project using Eclipse IDE. So I open Eclipse IDE and open the workspace that contains the project directory. Okay, and then we need to import. Go to menu file, import existing project into workspace. Next. Okay, and choose root directory of the project here. Finish. Okay, it is loading the Java web project, and we got some errors here. Let me fix the error. Right click on the project properties, and I need to update the target runtime for Apache Tomcat. I have Apache Tomcat version 9 installed on my computer. Okay, and we got another error here. Let me increase the font size. Text font. Okay. Okay, here I need to update MySQL connector Java version to version 8.0.33. Update version of Maven compiler plugin to version 3.8.1, and update the version of Maven Word plugin to 3.3.1. 3.3.1. Okay, no more errors. And now let me test this Java web application on localhost. You can see in the code, you can see it uses the JDBC APIs to connect to MySQL database server. You can see JDBC URL, JDBC username, JDBC password, and the data source properties are read from context init parameters that are defined in the web deployment descriptor file. Here you see JDBC URL, JDBC username, JDBC password. Okay, let me update the password here. So testing on localhost, we can use the data source properties defined in the web deployment descriptor file like this. Okay, let me add this project to Tomcat server right inside the IDE. Finish and start the application. Okay, server started listening on port 8080, and let me test the web application on localhost. Here, localhost, port number 8080, and the context path is bookstore. You see, it lists some books here because I already have the data in database on my local computer. As you can see in MySQL Workbench, there are 3 rows in the book table in bookstore schema here. You see, let me add a new one. Book number 4, author 4, price 49. You see. Somehow the MySQL Workbench on my computer had problem. Okay, let me update this one. Price 49, 59. Okay, you see it is updated, and let me delete this one. You see it has been deleted. That means this Java web application is working normally on localhost with MySQL database, as you can see here. And next, we need to update code of the project to externalize data source properties as environment properties, so we can configure database connection settings during deployment process. We need to externalize JDBC URL, JDBC username, and JDBC password as 3 environment properties with these names, you see. So we need to update the project code. So here I update the code that get the values of JDBC URL, username, and password here. Let me stop the application. Stop. Okay, update the code here. Firstly, I get JDBC URL from a system property, system.get property, and property name is JDBC underscore URL. And then I check if JDBC URL is not defined in system property, then I use the value from the application's context init parameter if JDBC URL is null, and then JDBC URL, then JDBC URL equal get service context get init parameter, and we do a similar for JDBC username. JDBC username if JDBC username is null, then we get JDBC username from the context init parameter. Okay, and similar for JDBC password. JDBC underscore password. Okay, so we need to update the project's code in ways that it reads the data source properties from the system properties first, with the property names JDBC underscore URL, JDBC underscore username, and JDBC underscore password. And now let's package the project into a deployable Word file or deployment artifact. So right click on the project, run as Maven build, Let me run Maven clean first to clean the project and build again. Okay, right click, run as Maven build. Run as Maven build, and specify the goal is package run. Okay, you see build success, and it generated a deployable Word file bookstore 0.0.1 snapshot.word under target directory of the project. You see, and make sure that in the Maven project file you declare the packaging type is Word, or use Maven Word plugin here. Okay, packaging type is Word here. You see. Next, let's start deploying the Java web application on AWS. So head over to AWS Management Console at aws.amazon.com. Click sign into the console and sign in as IAM user. Specify account ID, IAM username and password, and sign in. Okay, I have signed in the AWS Management Console. Okay, this is the console home, and you can see some recently visited services such as AWS for relational database service, IAM, S3 storage service, Elastic Beanstalk. And the first step is choose the AWS region which you want to deploy your application. So here I choose the AWS region is US East Ohio. Okay, and go to Elastic Beanstalk Web Management Console. If you don't see it is here, go to Menu Services, you go to Compute, you go to Elastic Beanstalk here. And this is the dashboard AWS Elastic Beanstalk Management Console. You can click the Create Application button here, or click the left menu here, click Applications here. You see no application now. Go to Dashboard and click Create Application button. Okay, and the default environment here in the first step, configure environment, is web server for deploying a web application. You can see for deploying an application on AWS using Elastic Beanstalk, there are 6 steps. You can see here, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, and 3 steps from 3 to 5 are optional. You see. Okay, so the default web server environment is selected here, and enter application name, for example bookstore, and environment name, it is suggested automatically here, and subdomain of the application bookstore. And you can see US East 2 is the AWS region name selected, and elasticbeanstalk.com is the top level domain. So after deployment we can access the application under this subdomain and click the button check availability until it says that the subdomain is available. Okay, and under platform, choose platform is Tomcat, and we can choose Tomcat 9 or Tomcat 10. Here I choose Tomcat 9 with Java 17, Character 17. Okay, and under application code, choose upload your code and enter version label. For example, version 1, and choose local file because I will use the Word file which was generated previously. Okay, let me browse that Word file under Java projects, bookstore, target, and deployable Word file here, bookstore 0.0.1 snapshot.word, open. Okay, and under preset section here, configuration preset, for testing purpose, we can choose single instance free tier or single instance during spot instance. So I use the default one, single instance. Click next to go to the second step, which is about configuration of service access. And note that in the configure service access step, you must manually create a new role for EC2 instance if not exist that has the following policies: AWS Elastic Beanstalk web tier, worker tier, and multi-container Docker. And let Elastic Beanstalk create a new service role or use an existing one if exists. So in the second step, configure service access, choose create and use new service role. You can see the permission details here. Okay, and for EC2 instance profile, view permission details, you can see it requires 3 permissions: AWS Elastic Beanstalk web tier, AWS Elastic Beanstalk worker tier, and AWS Elastic Beanstalk multi-container Docker. So we need to go to IAM console. Click the IAM console link here to go to AWS Identity and Access Management console to create a new role for EC2 instance. Okay, so this is the IAM dashboard, Identity and Access Management. Click the menu roles on the left. Click create role button here. AWS service and service now use case, choose EC2. EC2. Click next and search for AWS Elastic Beanstalk to search for the required permissions and select a web tier, worker tier, and AWS Elastic Beanstalk web tier, worker tier, and multi-container Docker. Click next and enter the role name. For example, Elastic Beanstalk EC2 role. Okay, and click create role button here. Okay, a new role created, Elastic Beanstalk EC2 role. Close and back to the second step, configure service access. Click the refresh button here and you can see the new role appears here. Choose it and click next to go to the third step, which is about setup networking database and tasks. And in the third step, we can configure database service. AWS offers a relation database service or RDS that allows developers to configure databases easily. So we need to enable database service RDS and choose MySQL engine and specify username and password, which the application will use to connect to MySQL server instance. And note that after the first deployment attempt, go to RDS service to check the database server instance and get the schema name or DB name, get the database host name, connection endpoint, and port number. This information will be used in environment properties for data source connection settings later. So in the third step here, we click the toggle button, enable database here. Okay, and you can see MySQL server is selected by default here. Engine is MySQL. Engine version 3.0.35. And depending on your application's need, you can choose the appropriate engine version. And instance class and storage size default is 5 GB. and specify the username and password which the application will use to connect to the MySQL server instance. Here I specify username is user1, password is password1. Okay, and for the database deletion policy, there are 3 options which are explained clearly, as you can see here. The default one is delete. That means the database will be deleted if the environment is terminated or the application is deleted. So I choose the default one, which is delete for database deletion policy. Okay, and click next. Okay, and in the 4th step is optional. We can skip next. And the 5th step is about configure updates, monitoring and logging. And in the 5th step, we need to add a new environment property for server port because Elastic Beanstalk assumes that the web application will listen on port number 5000. So we need to specify an environment property with the name is Catalina _base_port and value is 5000. So in the 5th step here, scroll down to the end, you can see the section about environment properties. Click button add environment property and specify the property name is Catalina _base_port, value is 5000, and click next to go to the review step. Okay, this step lets us to review all the configuration we have made so far. If something is not correct, we can click the edit button here to modify. Okay. To start the deployment process, click submit button. You see it opens up a new environment page that shows the deployment details, the deployment progress. You can see on the left menu there are links that allows us to access the application's environments, and for the current environment we can access configuration, events, how, logs, monitoring. You can see under environment overview we can see the health status and the domain which we can use to access the application after deployment. Environment ID, application name, platform Tomcat 9 with Credo 17, and there are several tabs. Events that is showing the event details. It is updating periodically, so we can see the details of the deployment progress. You can see it is creating AWS database with this name, and this deployment process will take a few minutes to complete. So we have to wait, and you can see the current message appears on the top here. Elastic Beanstalk is launching the environment. You see health, logs, monitoring, alarms, managed updates, tasks, so you can monitor your application easily. And you see it says created AWS database name. That means MySQL server database has been created. And you see instance deployment completed successfully. Application available at bookstore.us2.elasticbeanstalk.com. Successfully launched environment bookstore in, and the health status of the application is okay here. So the deployment is successful, and we can try out the application by clicking the domain here. And of course we get an error because we have not updated the environment properties for data source connection settings. You can see this error means that the application could not connect to MySQL server. So that's why we need to go to AWS service to get the database server endpoint and DB name. So go to menu services and go to AWS. If you don't see AWS here, go to menu services, database, and AWS. This is the dashboard of Amazon AWS, and you can see there's a DB instance. You see here, available engine MySQL community. Okay, click the DB identifier to see the details, and under connectivity and security tab you can see the endpoint. This is the host name of MySQL server instance, and you see it is publicly accessible. Yes, so we need to take note the endpoint. And port number is the default MySQL server port number 3306. And click the configuration tab. You can see the DB name is EBDB here. You see the schema name created for the new database. Okay, so I construct the JDBC URL like this. Port number 3306 and schema name. The prefix is JDBC colon MySQL colon // Okay, and then go back to Elastic Beanstalk to edit the configuration of the environment bookstore, and here click configuration here. Okay, and under updates, monitoring and logging, click edit button. Okay, and we need to add 3 new environment properties in the section environment properties here. So we need to add some new environment properties for data source connection: JDBC URL, JDBC username, and JDBC password. The property names match the names we specify we used in the code here, JDBC underscore URL. So here we need to add new environment property, and the value of JDBC URL is like this, and JDBC username is user1, and JDBC password is password1. Okay, and click apply, and then Elastic Beanstalk will update the environment configuration. You can see the message environment update is starting, and you see instance deployment completed successfully. Successfully deployed new configuration to environment, and environment update completed successfully. The health status of the application is okay. You can see the running version is version 1. Click the domain link here to test the newly deployed application, and we got the error table EBDB notebook doesn't exist because the Java web application requires a table in the database with the name book. You can see here, but the new database is blank, no tables at this time. So we need to connect to the remote MySQL server instance to create a new table. And to connect to the remote MySQL server instance on AWS, we need to configure network security of MySQL server to allow remote access temporarily, and use MySQL command line plan to connect to the remote MySQL server instance to create a new table required by the application. Check the rows inserted or updated in the table when the newly deployed application is being tested. And let me go to the tutorial to get the SQL statement which we can use to create the book table here. Okay, in AWS, go to RDS here. Go to RDS, go to DB instances, click the instance name, and under connectivity and security, under security, click the VPC security group, click the currently active one. Okay, and click the security group ID. Okay, and under inbound rules here, click edit inbound rules, and we need to add a new rule that allows access from the outside. Click add rule button, custom TCP port number 3306, source is anywhere IPv4. Okay, and you can see it once that this kind of rule is not recommended, so we just add this rule temporarily. Later we will delete this rule for security. Click save rules. Okay, successful. Okay, so we have the new security rule that allows access from the outside here. Okay, then we need to open a new terminal and use MySQL command line client here. I need to go to the installation directory of MySQL on my computer. So go to usr/local/MySQL. Go to bin directory and use the MySQL application. MySQL here. MySQL, and specify the host name of the remote server here, host name, paste host name, and specify port number 3306, and specify username user1, and specify password. I need to specify the / before MySQL. Okay, like this. Okay, and enter password, which is password 1. You see, I have connected successfully to the remote MySQL server instance on AWS, and I can type the command show databases, and you can see the schema EBDB here. Okay, and connect to that database schema, connect EBDB, show tables, no tables at the moment. And let me copy the SQL script here to create a new table. Paste here, enter. You see, query OK. Show tables again, and you can see the table book created here. We can see its structure using this command dash book. You see the fields in this table: book ID, title, author, and price. And let me select rows from this table. select asterisk from book. You see empty, no rows at the moment. And let me test the application. Go back to Elastic Beanstalk. Click the application domain in the environment page here. Now you see I don't see the error anymore, and this is the home page of the newly deployed application. And let me test it out. You see no books now. Add a new one. Title, book 1, author 1, price 100. You see successfully added, and we can check in MySQL command line client here. You see one row inserted here with book ID 1, title book 1, author 1, price 100. Very good. That means the newly deployed application is working very well with MySQL database on AWS. Let me edit this book to effective Java, author Joshua Bloch, price 39. Save. You see it has been updated successfully, and we can verify in MySQL command line client here. The title updated effective Java. Let me add another one. Book 2, author 2, price 29. You see it is working very well. Book 3, author 3, price 39. And let me check. You see 3 rows inserted here. And let me delete the last one. And now we have only 2 rows here. Okay, so that means the application is working normally with MySQL database on AWS. Okay, so far you have seen how to deploy a Java web application running on Apache Tomcat server with MySQL database on AWS using Elastic Beanstalk. I hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and share this video. Thanks for watching.